There was something about being a doctor that has always resonated with me. And even though my path didn't directly or immediately lead me into medical school, that part of me and that dream has never left. Hi, my name is Twaida, and this is my story of how I found my way into medical school. I came to the Western Cape, specifically Stellenbosch, to study, and I have been studying for 7 years now. After posting on TikTok about my journey and seeing so many people interested and also wanting to pursue medicine or have questions and interests with regards to my journey and being at Stellenbosch University, I finally decided that 2026 is going to be my year of sharing my medical school journey, not just on TikTok but also on the YouTube platform. So for my first video, I decided to just lay the foundation and just share my story of how I got into medical school, the challenges, and also some of the things that I did that helped me, or I believe that helped me get into medical school, specifically at Stellenbosch University. So I finished my matric in 2019, which sounds like a long time ago, but I promise you it feels just like yesterday. I finished my matric in 2019, and then in 2020 I then started with my first year doing a BSc in Human Life Sciences. There's a Bachelor of Science in Human Life Sciences at Stellenbosch University. I got accepted, and I'd always wanted to go to Stellenbosch, so I think this was really just one of those moments that I really got to enjoy, because Stellenbosch was actually my dream university and I wanted to be at Stellenbosch University. Okay, I wasn't really sure if I had wanted to become a doctor or wanted to become a scientist, but I knew that whatever I do, it will be between science or being a doctor, health science, and somewhere there. And I really enjoyed it. I did my first year, passed really well. I did my second year. My first year was actually during COVID, which was crazy. But I did have, I would say, the university experience, because I think around August we came back, or we left around March, and then around August we came back, and I enjoyed everything. In my second year, I also continued my second year, and I really enjoyed my second year. I think actually second year was one of the, actually third year third year was actually one of my best years. So I did then my whole degree, I finished it in due time, so it was 3 years, and I did finish it in 3 years by the grace of God. And I'm so grateful that I didn't really struggle, because I think once you get into university, there's a lot of things that happen, and it's very easy for you to struggle a bit, or to find some things difficult, or to lose your way. And I thank God that I was able to be strong, to study, and to keep on understanding the work, because sometimes it's really not even you, but rather the work is very difficult and very difficult to understand. But yeah, so I then graduated in 2022, and at this time I think my thought process was still not really set on medicine. But I think I should mention that there's always been something about medicine, guys. Medicine, or being a doctor, I think there's always something about that has always stung, or something that has always been, when someone tells me they're a doctor, I think I've always felt like, I don't know, it's deep, like it's very deep feeling that it should be me. Like I want to be there, I could become a doctor and pursue medicine, so I've always felt that. I'm not gonna lie, I've always felt that. And I think it grew stronger and stronger after my BSc degree, but I didn't realize that it was something that was growing in me, And then further on, I decided then to pursue and do my honors, because at the time it felt like the right thing to do. And even though I did consider doing medicine again, but at that time I was just like, no, I've already been studying for 3 years, and going back and starting over is definitely not something that is on my mind right now. And I was just like, no, and when I was accepted into honors, I just saw it as an opportunity for me to rather continue growing within this academic space and not necessarily in academia, but just to have more experience and just to gain more experience and be better and know more, all of that, and have at least some lab work. That was probably the time where I really needed to go back and do my research, because one thing about doing honors, especially in a Bachelor of Science, that is very academic, and 90%, or let me say 95%, that 95% or 90% chances that you will end up in academia, because a BSc is very academic on its own. So obviously once you do your honors, then it's like you specializing into becoming an academic, if I could put it like that. And this is actually something that I also want to talk about on my channel, the difference between doing a BSc degree that will allow you to work into a more health science field, or doing a BSc that will only restrict you into going into academia. There's a very big difference between the two, and I think that is something that most people don't really know, but I will make a video on it for sure. I then did my honors in 2023, and I think that's when later in 2023, that's when I actually realized that there's something about this life that is not settling, something about this life that is not really who I want to be. But I decided to just continue either way, because again, I did not want to start over, and I thought that if I just continue, this is going to be fine. I'll be fine, because it's just no way I'm starting over with medicine. Okay, I did actually have an interest to pursue engineering. I think I did have an interest in pursuing maybe a bit of chemical engineering, because I thought then, okay, what can I do with my BSc degree that won't really allow me to start all over or start from the beginning? That's when I became interested in, searching other ways, like if I can, like before I apply for my master's, if I can maybe do something else. Because I think at that point I started just a little bit to realize that, hey, this, I don't know, but it seems like I'm growing out of this, or it seems like this thing is growing out of me. I don't know which one, but I think things were just not getting together, and I felt like I was not at peace internally. But I decided that, let me just continue with my master's in biochemistry, because there was an option that, okay, I can just continue with the same project that I was doing, even though I did not understand it. So that was also another thing about doing my honors degree. I did not understand my honors project, and I think that should have been a bit of a red flag. I know that it is quite common for people not to understand their projects, especially in the science field, but I think for me it was also a thing of I was not even really interested in knowing or interested in pursuing or understanding what was happening, but I kind of like forced myself to do it, which is something that I also learned throughout my journey in medical school, that even though something is difficult, there's a difference between something being difficult and you hating it, not wanting to do, like you don't want anything to do with it, and you having something being difficult and you trying to do something about that difficult, or at least still knowing that, okay, no, but even though it's difficult, but it's worth doing, it's worth trying, it's worth me researching how can I overcome this difficulty, and also just being at peace, which is something that I also did mention, that I wasn't really at peace internally. So that is also something that I learned, or something that I experienced, and now that I reflect back on my honors year and the whole BSc story, I then am like, no. Now, with this being said, I then decided to do my master's, and I did my master's in biochemistry as well. And as I said, that my project was also one of the things that made me realize that I actually want to focus on the more clinical side of medicine or clinical side of science. So with the project, what I was basically doing was that I was looking at the Mycobacterium tuberculosis, which is the bacteria that causes TB, and also looking at the regulation and how it can regulate certain enzymes, something around that. Honestly, as I have mentioned, that I wasn't really invested in the project or really understood much, but I did really try my best to do the project and understand and, you know, be involved as much as I could. But I think also the biggest part of me realized that this was not the career choice, or this was not the type of career that I looked up to or wanted to follow. In 2024 then, which was my first year of masters, that's when I really realized that, you know what, I have to go back to the drawing board and reconsider and rearrange my life, understand that what is it that I really want. And I think then that's also when the idea of, or like that dream of wanting to become a doctor came back rushing. It was very intense, and I think it just took a matter of a week of me researching, doing my research on other doctors or other people that have done other degrees before moving into medicine that I found on YouTube or TikTok. I think this was then around June of 2024. Then realized that, you know what, no, I think I really want to become a doctor. I would say that was the process, or that was me before pursuing or deciding to pursue medicine, and making sure that I get in, making sure that I qualify, and also put myself and give myself the best chance of getting